Monaco Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
I want to alert you to a situation that occurred as we were driving here today.
Oh my goodness.
You see, in downtown Toronto, if you drive in a way that is deemed unacceptable to a person around you, they leap up on the soapbox and let you know through a long and hearty horn honk.
Yeah, Toronto, they really do love the horn.
They do.
It's not a suburban thing.
The thing is that the problem in downtown Toronto is that when you are driving, you do get a lot of suburbanites down here who are not used to driving in the downtown core and are a little bit out to lunch. So sometimes you just give them a polite neat, like, hey, just wake up.
Here,
off the phone,
one more time. Give me that.
Neat. Like a little road runner. Like,
yeah.
just, hey,
Neat.
I just want to let you know we're here. I'm right behind you. Need you to signal. That's cool, right? Maybe don't text your mom right now or ever while you're driving. How about that? That'd be great. But on the way here today, I signaled that I was going into the left lane, driving up Jarvis Street.
Or as Adam calls it, his left lane.
Yes. Well, it's the lane with my name on it. They
belongs to him.
Me. And there was nobody in my rear view. There was nobody really in my blind spot. So I go over, and all of a sudden you hear nee.
So that's not the polite one.
No, that's the angry one.
Oh. Okay.
And that is because there was a jet black Audi, of which there are 50,000, I think, in the downtown core of Toronto. I think every person who makes six figures owns a jet black Audi in Toronto. I don't know what it is.
I do know what it is. It's the car Michael drives in GTA 5.
That's what it is.
That's why.
So it's Michael that put this together.
Absolutely. And that would explain the reckless driving.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Well, that does make sense. Well, this guy wanted to go up the left lane faster than I did. However, there's a speed limit, and we were already over it. And we'll call him Michael. We'll call him Quote Michael.
Sure.
Quote Michael was really not happy about that. And I said to Steve, Jesse, I was like, Steve, watch this. He's going to pull up from behind me, get into the right lane, and he's going to pull up next to us and give us the finger. Get ready. Get ready.
Here it comes.
What's the next thing he did, Steve?
Skirt. Pulls up next to us. Middle finger.
And so as I'm driving, and of course, I went back into the right lane because I have to take a right to get into Rogers where we record the show. And he tried to pull up right beside us again and give us a finger. So I just I took my right and waved to him. And you could tell he was pretty mad. We just didn't want to go his speed. And he was upset.
I was very entertained because sometimes you can reciprocate the rage. You can roll down your window, yell a nasty thing at them, or give them the middle finger yourself. Adam didn't do that. He waved at him. Like, hey there, friend.
Hey. Steve told me he's got the best one. If anybody ever bugs you.
Well, my favorite passive-aggressive thing to do when someone's being an idiot on the road, so I have to drive with glasses. So what I do if I'm like next to him at a light is I take my glasses off and I hand them out the window. Hey, I think you need these more than I do. Here you go. Here you go.
That feels like so much effort.
No, it's not. Here, look. There you go. I just took them off and handed them out the window.
For a stranger you're never going to see again?
Yes, but I'm petty.
Yeah, okay.
I'm petty and it gives me joy.
Yeah, there is a joyous petty moment. Afterwards, you feel a little ashamed. But in the moment, you're like,
No.
I do a little. I'm like, I'm better than this.
I would feel ashamed if I yelled. Because that's untoward. How dare I?
Have I ever told you about
I'm merely offering my glasses.
I took a left-hand turn onto Queen Street in Toronto, which is another busy street, which is hampered by the fact that everybody parks on the street here.
Yeah.
So it's two lanes down to one each way. And so I can't see beyond the parked car, and there's no light. It's one of those streets that has no light, and you just gotta gut it and hope that no one's coming your way. And so I popped my car.
Sounds like not a safe way to drive.
It's not a safe thing but you kind of have to do it. So I popped my accelerator just a little bit to kind of pop out to see what was going on. And lo and behold, person that I cannot see because there's a gigantic SUV in front of her is driving towards me, slams on the brakes, and she'd have been fine if she just kept going. Because I had already come to a full stop, but her just seeing any movement,
she panicked.
And then, here's the scary part, she starts turning her car into me. I'm like, what?
Oh, she just completely panicked.
Well, yeah, no, and then she puts her four-ways on, gets out of her car, and starts screaming at me. Like, I rolled down my window, and I don't know why I did.
No. That's
Never
not how
roll down
driving
your
works.
window.
No.
Never do that. But she came up to me. You almost killed me. And I was like, I said, ma'am, you would have been fine if you kept going. No, you need to be taken off the road. And I said, ma'am, I hate to tell you this, but you are halfway between 2 lanes right now.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
And she's like, go F yourself. And I said,
Oh, it's good that she restrained herself and only said F.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. She could have said the full word.
But she didn't.
Yeah.
That's a very polite road rage.
I thought so. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious.
You know what?
She was mad at me and stopped traffic to be mad at me. Got out of her car in the middle of a street.
You know what we used to get all the time is people tweeting us, so at blank point in the podcast, the hockey talk starts.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what do we have? About 5 minutes in?
Well, I wonder, do we start with hockey or do we start with football?
Oh, dear. No, okay.
Do we start with football? Or should we start with the Buffalo Sabres and the Toronto Maple
We
Leafs?
should do hockey.
Yeah,
All right.
let's do hockey.
I don't think the football thing is that serious after you found out what the actual
Yeah.
But I got
was.
something else. I got something else
Okay,
football
that'll
related.
be
It's
interesting.
good.
You ever schedule an argument?
Yes.
Like you hold off and you go, no, we're going to have our argument tomorrow.
with Caprice all the time.
Yeah, we're going to have our argument tomorrow.
I am not going to talk about
Yeah.
this with you until we get home. I am not text arguing you.
Exactly. And then like almost 24 hours pass and you're like, I don't care.
You turn on the TV and you're like, oh, that didn't seem important
Yeah.
at all.
I didn't care. Oh, well. But I promise the rest of the show will be good.
If you're a Bill Belichick hater, you're going to like
Which
it.
I am, according to yesterday.
Yeah, you were hot and
So
bothered by
I
this.
now have to keep that up.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the fact that the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Buffalo Sabres, the first game was kind of a non-starter because Jack Eichel wasn't playing, and I think it's not important. You didn't need Jack Eichel there.
I don't even remember.
He had the high ankle sprain.
Yeah, I think the Leafs won.
Yeah, it doesn't. I
don't know.
whatever. I think this game might be the beginning of the battle of the Eastern Conference in the next 5 years.
Well,
Or the battle for the top of the Eastern Conference in the next 5 years.
we now get, well, the Atlantic, which is very weak this season, is going to be strong.
You're
I think.
weak. You're weak.
The leads are weak. You're weak. I think the Atlantic is going to be very strong. Toronto's going to be part of that. Buffalo's going to be part of that.
Probably Montreal too.
Well, they're not as young as these guys, though.
Right.
So-
And Tampa.
So Montreal is that. Right
Montreal
now.
is that right now?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
no going to be. They're there. And by a wide margin. But Tampa should stick around. They're just having a brutal year. I think it's a one-off. Florida should be there. There's another one-off, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I've been wrong before. And then Buffalo and Toronto both on the rise, whether they make it or not. And then you get Ottawa in there as a bit of a wild card.
On November 4th, Toronto beat Buffalo 2-1. Marner scored 2 goals. Anderson made 42 saves.
Wow. Oh, that's right. They went on a little streak where they basically got outplayed every game. That was a little concerning. I am so excited for Matthews versus Eichel because I think it's even better than McDavid versus Eichel. I think it's even better. I think the stakes are much higher and we have a chance to see it develop over more games over a longer period of time. McDavid versus Eichel was a draft thing. It was like Taylor versus Tyler a few years ago.
A fair comparison for McDavid is Crosby,
Probably.
right? Like, and with no offense to Jack Eichel, McDavid's that good.
Well, but there was all this debate. McDavid's better and Eichel's better. And it became apparent after a while that they're just two players who are very good at different things.
Yes.
Eichel's probably a superior goal scorer. He's got the flash, maybe a little less speed. McDavid is just the flash on skates, better playmaker probably. But they never play each other. The Sabres and Oilers never play each other. And how many times have McDavid and Eichel played yet? Have they? I'm not
I
sure
think
they
they
have
played
because
last year.
McDavid was hurt and then Eichel was hurt. The hometown hockey game between the Oilers and Sabres was supposed to be a big deal because it was supposed to be, I think it was Newmarket where McDavid's from.
And then Eichel got injured the practice before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we didn't get to see it. I don't know if they've played each other yet. Now we got quotes. We got bulletin board material like that scout who said, what was it? Eichel can't carry can't carry Matthews' skates to practice or something like that.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous. A little bit
Yeah,
ridiculous.
come on.
But now we got two guys who are both parts of the American hockey program. Mm-hmm. So maybe you get a little bit of that friendly rivalry going, but they're also divisional rivals now. Taylor versus Tyler didn't have that. You know, there was none of that Oilers versus Bruins rivalry going on. Tavares versus Hedman was never really a thing. I'm trying to think of some of the great draft battles over the years. And McDavid and Eichel fizzled for obvious reasons. Matthews versus Eichel and Leafs versus Sabres has a chance to really become a thing. Again, divisional rivals, both up and coming. And the fan bases don't like each other.
No, Buffalo fans hate Torontonians.
And I don't blame them.
Because Torontonians always come down and invade Buffalo every time Toronto's in Buffalo because it's cheaper.
I don't blame them. You know, we always talk about like Philly fans doing this, or we make fun of Habs fans for past riots, and obviously there's the Vancouver angle there. It's not on that scale, but on a regular basis, Leafs fans buy up all the tickets in Ottawa, buy up all the tickets in Buffalo, and kind of act like jerks.
And Detroit.
Well, not as often.
Not as often.
Oh, yeah, that's a divisional rival.
Yeah.
Is it? That's still not in my head.
That Detroit's out of the Western Conference?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's very weird.
That's like, you ever put you ever take the cutlery out of the drawer it's usually in and put it in a different one?
Yes.
My parents.
That's what it's like.
My parents changed the cutlery drawer over half a decade ago. And I still, whenever I go over there, go to the wrong drawer. I can't get the Red Wings out of the Western Conference in my head, let alone
weird.
into the East and in the Leafs division. I can't do it.
That was hard for people with the Leafs for a while, because remember, the Leafs were also in the Western Conference for a while.
That's true. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Like, that's how Toronto, Montreal in the Stanley Cup Finals almost happened.
You know how many teenagers are listening to this going, what?
That happened?
They didn't even know.
It happened.
Didn't even know.
And the Leafs had the Western Conference travel schedule that year.
I didn't even think
about that.
Oh, you got to play the Canucks. You got to play the Kings. You got to play...
Yeah, the Gretzky
the
Kings.
expansion Sharks.
the Bure Canucks. Like, not easy teams.
No.
Not easy.
No.
So what I think is interesting here, too, I mean, obviously this isn't going to happen tonight, but, you know, you talk about Eichel versus Matthews. There's other storylines here. Nylander versus Nylander, right?
Huh? Is Alex in the NHL, though?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think it was...
McDavid has played Eichel one time, and that was last year on March 1st.
Oh, okay. How did it go?
Edmonton won 2-1.
See, that's not why you watch McDavid versus Eichel.
McDavid had 2 goals and the OT winner.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Alex is playing with the Rochester Americans this year.
Yep.
He also was on the, went to the World Juniors and was, I don't know if you guys saw him, he was unbelievable. I think he had 12 points in 7 games.
He was pretty good. It's just that Sweden didn't do that great.
And he has 17 points in 33 AHL games, 5 goals.
That's not so bad. So he's getting a similar treatment to his brother, actually.
Yeah, making him play
he's able to play in the American League. I think he got a sniff in the NHL, got sent to the World Juniors, which is probably the right thing for him. So that'll be, Buffalo's going to be so fun. I'm looking forward to it. I want Buffalo to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's way more fun when the Leafs and Buffalo are good than when they're not.
I want the Leafs to win the cup. I don't want it to be a cakewalk.
No.
I want a war. Like, I want a movie to be made about when they win the cup. And you guys were making fun of me for this on the weekend. I want the Leafs to have to go through the Bruins. I want them to have to go through the Bruins. I want them to slay that damn dragon.
To which Jesse and I say, if the Bruins don't make the playoffs, isn't that still technically going through the Bruins? If they don't make it, then the Leafs don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's basically, who cares? The Leafs are in the playoffs.
I know you want it to be this big dramatic moment. All I want is a cup, man.
Yeah, I want the Leafs to be down 4-1 in Game 7, and they come back and win it 5-4 in overtime.
That drama.
I want Reimer to come out of the stands and start overtime for the Leafs somehow.
He descends.
And he scores a game winner, too.
He levitates from the stands. He descends.
Yes.
For he is above us.
Everyone's like, where are the strings? There are none.
I just think that it's going to be a fun game to watch. And, the thing that, Buffalo's had some really bad luck with injuries and stuff this year. And I'm not sold on Robin Lehner.
He's a 922 so far.
I know. I just never have been sold on him, but maybe this is his year.
He's interesting. How he does this season is very pivotal. Because I see him as a guy who kind of loses his head a lot, but he's also had a lot of injury troubles.
Mm-hmm.
If he can stay healthy, like relatively healthy, I mean, you're going to get banged up.
Yep.
And keep performing this well, there's one less thing for Buffalo to worry about. Because they're obviously still lacking.
Yeah.
You look at them in the standings. They got some stuff to figure out. If you can take starting goalie out of the equation, that's a huge help. Huge help. I'm excited.
I think they've got the Winnipeg syndrome, which we'll get to. They don't have the.
I think Winnipeg would kill for Robin Leonard.
Yeah, Robin
Yeah,
Leonard's
they might. I don't know. I'm not sold on him. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just not sold that he's the guy.
I'm not drafting him in fantasy, put it that way.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But it is interesting how deep the Sabres are. You look at their top three lines. For instance, Evander Kane is playing on the third line right now.
Is he?
With Gianta. And I forget who this is.
There's another guy who kind of disappeared. Brian Gianta still plays.
He still plays.
Still plays. And I think he's still on his contract from a few years ago. I might be wrong.
I don't think so.
Matt Molson's on that team.
He is playing fourth line. What? Yeah. Which is crazy.
Kyle Okpozo's on that
Yeah,
team.
I mean, this is a deep
Leafs
team.
talked about summer signing.
Deep team.
When was the last time a free agent signed for over $7 million and got talked about this little?
6.
Oh, it's 6?
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, still, that's a lot of money.
7.5 for Ryan O'Reilly.
Oh, maybe that's who I'm thinking of.
Ryan
Who's
O'Reilly?
also a Sabre.
Ryan O'Reilly makes $7.5 million a year.
Till forever.
Buddy, he's a center.
And you know what? I'll take Ryan O'Reilly. He's a very, very good center.
What's the player worth? Look at his position. Is it center? Tack on $2 million.
Right.
Tack on $1 million.
That's why the Kadri deal is so good.
The Kadri deal is phenomenal because he has like one of the worst seasons of his career, signs a 6-year deal, and follows it up with his best one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kadri, if he had to re-sign, like let's say the season ended today for whatever reason, or he continues this pace, and they had to sign Kadri,
At least
he's not signing for under 5.
No. It's at least $1 million more.
At least. Well, man.
But you know
at least
what?
half.
He also got lots of term, which is good.
He's caked. He's okay.
He'll be all right.
I wouldn't worry about it if I were him.
I think that I'm really excited about tonight, just genuinely because it'll be fun to have any rival at all. And I don't mean that the Leafs haven't had teams that can rival them. I mean that everybody's been able to blow them out for the last few years, and it's nice that they'll have a team that they can go to war with. I'm excited for this. This is good.
Do you think the Habs take the Leafs seriously as a rival?
No.
Probably not yet. No.
Pittsburgh, they would.
You think Pittsburgh would take the Leafs seriously?
No. Habs in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Washington.
But again, that's not a divisional thing.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, Washington is
Oh my God.
alive and well, as we found out. I guess we'll get to that. Leafs and Sens? Like, we got to hear that. Like, we got to hear that, like, the first heartbeat in that rivalry in a while. Mm-hmm. Maybe this will be the first heartbeat in the Leafs-Sabres one. That doesn't involve, hey, we both suck. Let's figure out who sucks slightly less.
Or slightly less tonight.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately for the Sabres, and this sucks, this really sucks for them, they are second last in the Eastern Conference.
Which isn't that bad.
They have, and I was just going to say, 43 points in 40.
That's second last?
In 43 games. That's second last.
What do the Leafs have?
48 points in 41 games.
That's not a huge gap.
It's not.
Who's last?
The New York Islanders with 42 points in 43 games.
No one's out of it in the
games.
East.
No.
No one's out of it.
There's only 2 teams in the NHL that are truly out of it.
In the entire league.
Arizona, Colorado. They're out.
That's it. We've been talking about the Jets. They go on like a nice run of like 10 games. Mm-hmm. They don't even have to win them all. Like just go on a streak like the Leafs are on now. You're in there.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And
Crazy.
that's kind of the scary part. Tampa, for all their issues, they have a few games in hand on, everybody's got games in hand on the Leafs because the Leafs had the bye week. Mm-hmm. And so did Ottawa.
The Bruins have played 6 more games.
Yeah. Tampa's played 4 more. But they're at 46 points. They're 2 points out. And I know everybody's like, oh, points percentage. What it is in the standings, the way I've seen it, is it doesn't matter how many games you have. Where you sit in the standings is how many points you have. Correct?
Yes, and this was brought up on Twitter today. Should they go by points percentage?
No.
I kind of...
No.
Weirdly,
Explain
I actually
that
like...
to the average fan. Explain
yeah.
it to the average fan. No.
I think it's been a thing in basketball.
No.
And sort of in baseball.
No. Games out. How many games out are you?
Oh, yeah. There's no
not
points.
points
I'm an idiot. Yeah, sorry.
It's
There's
just wins and losses.
Yeah, that's just wins. Yeah, you're right.
And football. The NHL.
Every sport.
If we
the
go to
points.
points percentage, I am going to do something that I'm going to regret. That's
The
all I
thing
can
about
say.
the
Can't say it on the radio.
To really ingrain something with fans, and I'm talking like real casual fans, you need to make a decision on something and then leave it be for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, believe me, I want a 3-point system. Either make that decision or don't, and then lay in that bed for at least 20 years.
Well, the other thing is, too, like when you look at other leagues, sometimes the Cavaliers come into town and they've played 3 more games than the Raptors, or the Yankees come to town and they've played 4 more games than the Jays because they had a weekend set and the Jays didn't.
Yeah.
That is going to happen. So this idea that because 3 or 4 games played separates a couple teams and that we should go to points percentage, I think that's crazy. I think, you just got to kind of, you've played as many games as you played. Here's where you are in the standings based on your points. If the team above you has 47 games played like the Bruins do and we have 41, do we have more points than the Bruins? No, then we don't have more points than the Bruins.
If anything, the bye week kind of indirectly makes the playoff race start earlier.
Yes.
And more interesting.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Plus the condensed schedule. It is possible. Like, let's say the Leafs played 6 more games than the Bruins, and the Leafs were having a really good season, the Bruins were having a really bad one. Then it makes the gap huge. But then, maybe towards the end of the season, it starts to close. Now, if you're a team that's on the bubble, do you want your bye week at the beginning of the year? Or do you want your bye week when you start to hopefully get hot in mid-February?
I like the Leafs bye week. Just
January.
Dead middle. Dead center. Although it is after a semi-break for Christmas. Which, though, does anyone treat Christmas like, now I can relax?
No.
No.
You got to go see your family.
You're traveling. You're obligated to be places. You enjoy it, and it's fun. But
it's
you're
no break.
Running around. Mm-hmm. I was tired, like, after Boxing Day.
I say this all the time. It's why I take the week off after Christmas. Because Christmas week is not a vacation. Yeah. It's not. It's you're catching up with your family, which is hilarious because you haven't seen them all year, so they're basically strangers that you say I love you.
Your Scottish in-laws make you drink.
Yes, absolutely. You're hungover. You're exhausted. You're broke. I don't know, man. That doesn't sound like holiday to me.
No.
Anyway, NHL players. Don't have to worry about that. The broke part, hopefully.
But they're doing flights.
Anyway, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with Toronto Buffalo tonight. Steve, you are going.
I am going because Mrs. Dangle won tickets. I was fast asleep when she tried to get them, and I woke up to her saying she got them. I swear to God. What? Jesse, I feel a vibe coming off of you. It's emanating.
I'm just waiting for Jesse to say something.
I'm just waiting.
I hope you have fun at the game today.
You rotten. There's no way you feel any joy for your friend. You're a legend, friend.
I hope the Leafs win. I hope Matthew scores a couple.
Me too.
And you see a good game.
I hope he scores 18.
Where are your seats?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yet. I don't know. I've never asked that question.
When you
I'm
win
just
seats,
like, cool, I'm going.
Yeah, I get that all the time when I'm giving away tickets on the radio, and people will be like, "Oh, wicked! Where are they?" Or before they've even won. Like your chances of winning a radio contest, it's very, very hard because people are like, "How come you never pick up my phone call when I call for a contest?"
It's a personal thing to you.
Well, and to them I say, listen, there are 5 phone lines in the control room. 5. Mm-hmm. There are tens of thousands of people calling those 5 phone lines. For the chances of you getting in are what they are. And if you do happen to get the tickets, just be happy you had the tickets. But it's little kids mostly like, hey, I know you're giving away these Justin Bieber tickets and I don't even have tickets, but where are they? Are they close? Because if they're not close, I don't know if I'm interested. You're like, ugh.
There's a comedian.
Jerk.
I want to say it was Louis C.K., but I'm not sure. They said they were like behind or like in front of some guy, like at the store, at like the corner store. How much is the Powerball this week? It's $5 million. Nah, I'm not going to buy it. It's like some construction worker. I'm gonna wait until it's like 165, some 5 million. I'm not getting out of bed for that.
That's when I'm gonna win. That's when I'm gonna win.
That's when, yeah.
I'll decide when I win the lottery, sir.
I know a guy who just won the lottery.
Yeah, you mentioned it in the last show.
Oh, did I? Okay, well there you go.
Yeah, split it 23 ways or something like that.
27.
No, you didn't mention. You mentioned that at Holiday Inn Cinema.
Oh, okay.
there
Steve
you
knows
go.
a guy who won the lottery 27 ways. Pretty good for
Yeah.
them.
But still, 37 grand. I'll take that. It's funny when I tell the story.
I don't know if I get out of bed for 37 grand.
When I tell the story to people, they're like, "Oh, it's 37 grand. It's not $1 million." No, but it's 37 grand. If someone walks up to you in the street and goes, "Here's $20," you're going to go, No, thanks. I am taking that and running.
Well, and here's 37 grand in Canada that our lotteries are government controlled. So the government is giving you 37 grand, and in Canada, you don't get taxed on the income for that.
Yeah, do we?
No. So if you win the lottery, you keep it all. Whereas, like, if you win the Powerball in the States, say you win $600 million.
You're giving like $300 million back.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Which is silly.
This is very off topic for a sports show, but and American fans are going to laugh at us, or laugh at me specifically. I don't understand how America works.
Why don't you just?
I don't.
Yeah, when it's
I don't
600
get how
million,
it works.
when it's 600 million, why don't you just say 300 million?
Yeah, I'm not.
Why don't you just say that?
I'm not criticizing it. I'm merely saying I've observed your tribe for a long time, and it is fascinating to me. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yours is a fascinating tribe.
When we come back,
King Xerxes voice.
When we come back on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, we got to talk about Paul Maurice. A little bit more on Paul Maurice. Man,
Crazy old Maurice. Sorry.
Steve wrote an article with Andrew Berkshire. We're going to talk about that for Sportsnet.ca. We will be back. Paul Maurice.
Crazy old Maurice. Sorry.
Who I don't think deserves that title. I think
It's from Beauty and the Beast.
In total frustration, Paul Maurice has obviously gone off at a press conference, and it seems like he's been mad every single second of every single day of every single week. Has it been a week yet since that press conference? It seems like he's been mad.
I don't even think so.
It's like he went to sleep mad, and he woke up mad, and he's like angry sleeping.
The problem is, I don't think he realized how bad it was going to get. I think he thought he just had one bad game against Montreal. I don't think the Jets have won since.
No, and they didn't win last night.
Yeah, the next night.
They lost to LA over the weekend.
Yeah, so they Hellebuck got pulled in the game. The next night, they played LA. Lost in overtime.
Did he play hella yuck?
It was hella yuck. And then they almost got shut out against the Sharks. And the only reason they didn't get hella yuck. I tried to just truck through that, and I can't.
That's hella yuck.
He's no backup ain't.
Sorry. Curtis, he's the
Jesus.
backup, ain't he?
He's a pretty good backup, ain't he?
Yeah, anyway, it's terrible.
And then the only reason they didn't get shut out from the Sharks is because Martin Jones literally gave Mark Scheifele the puck.
Yeah.
So
And laughed about it.
Yeah. It's never good when the other team makes a mistake and they laugh it off.
Yeah, a mistake that leads to a goal.
Yeah.
Now, again, so today we know Andre Pavlik was called up. So here's what I find interesting about this situation. Tell me if I'm wrong. When Winnipeg was doing well, Andre Pavlik was not good enough to be on this team. Now that they're bad...
He was also the reason they were in there, though.
No. I'm talking about this year.
Oh, sorry.
When Winnipeg was doing okay this year, Andre Pavlik was not good enough to be on this team. So now that they're not good...
They're grasping at straws.
Andre Pavlik comes in. That's weird to me.
Complete panic move. Now, I'm going to devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
I understand this move by the Jets. I'm not sure it's even a bad one. Hellebuck, I think, will rebound. Hutchinson has been bad. Really, really bad. Now, here's my question. Whose starts does Pavlik take? Like... Can you even send Hutchison down without him clearing waivers?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know.
Can you carry 3? You can carry 3.
You could just carry 3, or in a complete, we're doing a reset here, you send Hellebuck down and you let him figure it out while Pavlik holds the fort. And then, maybe after a couple weeks, you switch him again, and if you lose Pavlik to waivers, so be it. I really don't know. It would be hard for Pavelec to not be at least as good / as bad as Hutchinson has been. He might even be better than what Hellebuck has been.
Is any of that league average?
No. And this is the thing. They're not. Your answer and goal is Andre Pavelec? What are the Jets doing, man?
This is my thing. Like, and I said it last show. And people were like, "Well, the Jets have done really great stuff. I mean, they drafted Hellebuck and they drafted Comrie. I think it's Comrie, right? Their goaltending prospect,
Eric Comrie.
Eric Comrie.
There's help is on the way. I said it last podcast. Things are not bleak for the Jets.
They're not bleak, but they could be way better
next year. And maybe the year
How many
after?
times are you going to say to Jets fans next year? They've been a franchise for 5 years.
Oh, but it really looks like it.
Dude,
it really genuinely looks like it.
5 years. They haven't had the... You can't figure out your goaltending in 5 years now. You might say,
They've been in Winnipeg for 5 years. They've been a franchise long before.
Fair. And you might say, hey, now Toronto just figured theirs out. Yeah, well, we finally got competent management, so there you go.
Well.
And, like, this is my problem. You've had the same general manager this entire time. And the coaches are the ones getting the heat.
Yeah, I don't get how he's not more answerable.
He has not gone out and got competent goaltending. Period. End of story.
If you want to fire Paul Maurice, I really don't care. Like, I don't have a dog in that fight.
I do. Just for Paul personally, that sucks.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see him get fired. But how is Kevin Cheveldayoff not answering more questions? Because I remember when he was brought on for that job, there was fanfare and people talking about, he's a good hockey guy, smart hockey guy.
And he's been pretty good. I mean, they drafted well. They've drafted well.
Well, and you're right. You know what? I just said help is on the way, and that is partly due to him.
I mean...
So what's the answer for the Jets then, Adam? What's the answer?
I think the answer is go out and get a goaltender. Because you should
literally just it?
You should be winning this year. If you're in the Winnipeg Jets, I believe you should be winning this year. You should be... And by winning, what I mean is not winning the cup. I mean winning, getting into the playoffs.
But, like, you got Mark Stewart and Chris Thorburn, who I just see Jets fans yell about every single day. And now your answer is Andre Pavelec. Like, every GM's going to make some good decisions. Like, is it time? You were saying how the Jets may have gone stale. Is it time to be like, you know what? We're happy with the good things he's done. He's not quite doing enough. We need to cut him off and change.
Who?
Chevy.
I might be inclined to do that. Now, before that all happens, though, let's talk a little bit about the article that you wrote with Andrew Berkshire, because I don't know if we've talked about that on the show yet.
No, because it wasn't written yet.
So Steve and Andrew Berkshire, both sportsnet.ca, got together and talked about Paul Maurice. And the reason we are not being harder on Paul Maurice, as everybody seems to be right now, is because of one thing. And it's a career problem for Paul Maurice that he has basically zero control over.
Yes, and this is the strangest thing. So the stat that we knew last episode was Paul Maurice's all the goalies that Paul Maurice has ever had.
So
as a head coach.
Hartford, Carolina, Leafs, Carolina again, Winnipeg.
Yes. Every goalie he's ever had, the combined save percentage was just a hair under .904. That is not just below league average, that's abysmal. The closest comparable at the time that we did last show was Yaroslav Halak, who got waived. That's his average goalie is a waiver goalie. He's been a coach since 1995.
He's been to the conference finals.
He's been to the but I'm trying to talk about the body of work since 1995, 96, and over 1,300 games. I think 1,330 games. What's going on? And so, talk to Andrew Berkshire, who knows his numbers. And so we go, okay, he's been a coach for a very long time. He's played 1,330 games. We talk about sample size. That's an enormous sample size. So if Paul Maurice the question is Paul Maurice making his goalies worse? Is it possible that his goalies don't play well because he does something that makes them worse? That's a good question. And because he's coached 1,330 games, there's a large enough sample size that we should be able to say yes or no after doing research.
And the answer is no.
After doing research, no, you absolutely cannot say that.
Now, Now,
You cannot say he makes his
we
goalies
haven't
worse.
really, and you can see this at sportsnet.ca. There's a graph there that's very easy to, and everybody from Arturs Urbe to, Connor Hellbeck, you got
Sean
Vesatoskala,
Burke.
Sean Burke. Who's the best goaltender Paul Maurice has ever had?
Okay, so Jesse, maybe you can throw this chart up on the YouTube video. It's going to be useless for you if you're just listening, but there's a chart. Everyone below a certain line is below league average over their career. Here's the list of the goalies below league average. J.S. Aubin, Michael Layton, Andrew Raycroft, Vesatoskala, Andre Pavelich, Arturs Urbe, Trevor Kidd, Kevin Weeks, Cam Ward. It's a lot of names. Here is a list of league average. They're right on the line. Manny Legacy, Al Montoya.
Ooh. And Al Montoya is a backup.
Yeah, good one though.
But he's not a starter. He's not giving you 50, 60 games.
Right. Here is a list of above average goalies, like goalies who have been above average over their careers that Paul Maurice has had. You ready for the list? Don't blink. Tom Barrasso, Sean Burke. Sean Burke last played for Paul Maurice in 1998.
When did Tom Barrasso play for him?
I don't know. It was at the end of his career. So what we did, and Berkshire is very smart, and I don't know how he looked this up, but again, this is why we collaborated on this. Those are all goalies. So Paul Maurice has had more goalies than those guys. The reason we looked at those guys is they have lengthy careers that either started before and or continued after
Paul Maurice.
they were under Paul Maurice, right? So, for example, let's look at Al Montoya. He's played with many teams, and he played with different teams before. He was with Maurice's Jets, and he's played with the Habs since Maurice's Jets and the Panthers, right? So, what was their save percentage under Paul Maurice compared to the rest of their career?
So when they work with Paul Maurice, do they get better or worse?
Mm-hmm. The answer is half get better and half get worse. So it's right down the middle.
Split down the middle.
You can't definitively say, like Sean Burke. Okay, so it's
Also, those are, can I just say,
Yeah.
the names that you just listed, even Barrasso and Burke, those are not great names. These are not great hockey goalies.
Well,
Sorry.
What I asked skeptics on Twitter was, okay, you have to play one game, winner take all, or someone murders you. Okay, you have to win this game. You got to pick two goalies that played under Paul Maurice. Who do you pick? My answer is probably Sean Burke as my starter and Al Montoya as my backup. Now, some of these goalies had really good years. Andre Pavelich had the best year of his career
2 years ago
under Paul Maurice. Cam Ward had a beastly year under Maurice. He played in 74 games and had a .923 save percentage. He was a well above average goalie in 74 games. That's a monster season. Part of the reason Cam Ward has gone down is injuries over his career. We kind of forget that, like, when he won that Conn Smythe as a rookie,
He was unbelievable.
That was in 2006, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of a long time ago. Cam Ward's not young anymore.
And he's still played, he's had a resurgence this year. He's been playing really good.
Yeah. So the chart is kind of broken up into 4 quadrants. It's good goalies who are bad for Maurice, good goalies who are good for Maurice, bad goalies who are bad for Maurice, and bad goalies who were good for Maurice. The largest quadrant is bad goalies who are bad. That quadrant, so he had, by the way, here's how doomed he was in Toronto. All 3 of J.S. Aubin, Andrew Raycroft, and Vesatoskala are in the bad goalies
And
who were bad.
Aubin had a really nice 9-game run for the Leafs, right? Didn't they
But
win 9 in a row?
that was, I think that was the end of Pat Quinn's era in Toronto.
Oh, was it?
I think so. And then the next year, Paul Maurice takes over, and he's got nothing.
Yeah.
And Aubin is not the 9-1-2 Aubin that he was at the end of the season.
Because he was never that.
No, he was brutal. Raycroft was brutaler.
So let's
a word now.
summarize this here quickly. Paul
Yes.
Maurice has had really bad luck, which brings me back
Yes.
to my point about Winnipeg. Now, here's my challenge to you. And you don't have to accept.
Sure.
Because I don't want to create work for you.
Sure.
Take the Jets franchise, the original Jets franchise, which is now the Coyotes,
Okay.
and the current Jets franchise. Have they ever had a good goalie?
Oh my God, yeah.
Who?
Happy Boolin. The Boolin Wall, man.
Okay.
That was a long time ago, though.
Other than him.
Trying to think. Trying to think.
Like when Dale Hawerchuk was a Winnipeg Jet.
I'm trying to think of who they had when they moved. Was it Happy Bullen? I think it might have been.
I think it was because he played in Phoenix for a while.
Bullen Wall. But other than Bullen, I think...
And was he that good?
You're looking at like Essenza?
Goalies who have played for the Phoenix Coyotes. Curtis Joseph.
And by the way, there's no dollar in the Phoenix jar.
No, we're not talking about Phoenix here. I'm talking about Winnipeg teams.
No, but that's who the franchise is.
That's who the franchise is.
That's what hockey...
They get the records.
What's that?
I know that, but I'm just talking about while teams have been in Winnipeg, have they ever had a good goalie?
Okay, well...
Oh, so you're talking about the years they're in Winnipeg and then now.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking.
That doesn't count, though. It's
Why not?
The same franchise.
I'm just talking
Winnipeg
about
fans
well
look at
Winnipeg
it
had
as
I'm talking about for the fans while they had a team in the
That's
city.
a different argument.
Robert Esch. Remember him?
Yeah. He had like a good run for Philly. That was it. That's the thing. I don't think Winnipeg's ever really had a dominant goaltender.
Except for Happy Bullen.
Was he dominant for Winnipeg?
I think he was. That was, again, it was such a long time ago. We were kids.
We were kids. We were like 8 years old.
We
when
were
they
children.
Left. So that's my thing. Winnipeg, get a goalie, get a real goalie.
So the only goalie with an above average career save percentage who played like it in Paul Maurice's entire 1,300 plus game career was Sean Burke. The only one. Can we call this guy a bad coach? I mean, there might be other stats to look at. It's possible he's a bad coach who always has bad goalies.
But what's the most
totally
important
possible.
position in hockey?
It's probably goalie.
Probably?
It makes you and my article starts with you show me a good goalie, or no, you show me a good coach and I'll show you a good goalie.
Yeah. Show me Montreal without Carey Price this year.
Well, and this is the thing. Like, so Berkshire and I were talking. We're like, I would love to look at other coaches. Carlisle would look fascinating because that guy's had some really good goalies over his career. Michel Therrien. He had like a prime Marc-Andre Fleury. Mm-hmm. And Jose Theodore, I think, the first time he was in Montreal. Like Vezina Theodore, Hart Theodore. And now Carey Price, obviously. Hart Carey Price.
I heart Carey Price. I don't know, man.
It's fascinating. Ken Hitchcock is a guy I would love to look at. Lindy Ruff. Because Lindy Ruff has had the best of the best and the worst of the worst.
Speaking of former Jets, can we talk about what it's going to be like when Shane Doan wins the Cup with the Blackhawks this year?
Dude, the Blackhawks can't afford anybody. There's
the
all these
Blackhawks,
graybeards. The Jerome McGinley, rescue him. Shane Doan, rescue him. All these old guys. Who can they afford? I don't think they can afford anybody. But again,
They're the
they'll find a way. They'll find a way. They always find a way.
Where does Shane Doan go if he gets traded? Chicago's got to be in there. It doesn't matter what their cap situation is. They don't care.
Well,
and if I'm the Coyotes, I retain as much money as possible if they want him, because I don't know what the retention limit is. Is it half?
yes.
So if you retain half, that would still be tough because he makes a lot. But
Here's what I look at. Who is the youngest team going into the playoffs? The Leafs.
potentially,
Well, they certainly. Well, yeah. Like right now, looking at the standings right now, the Leafs. Well, they certainly don't need a winger. You know who I think are strong candidates to get this guy,
who?
and I think both fan bases will be like, no, but you're probably right. Calgary and Edmonton.
Really?
Shane Doan is so a Peter Chiarelli player.
Yeah, you're right.
He's so a Peter Chiarelli player. Come on. I'm not convinced he's a Brad Treliving player.
What about Columbus?
Yeah, that's a good
That's
question.
an interesting one. How much space do they got? They got a little bit to play.
I just thought Chicago was the obvious fit because of the lack of wing support for Jonathan Toews, who's had career low in points.
I'm sure Chicago would love him. But, yeah, what does that guy make?
Shane Doan?
Yeah.
3.87.
So
Yeah.
1.7.
Just shy of 4.
You make it.
It's possible.
It's like 1.9 if they retain half, and they would because he's on the last year, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah. So as long as your pick is high enough, your draft pick or your prospect is good enough, they'll retain as much as you want.
And they don't need draft picks because as Sportsnet employee Andrew Zuber so eloquently put it when it came to baseball a few years ago. Prospects are for poor people.
So,
Wow. It's interesting. It's an interesting thought.
Does the money matter? Because Phoenix would like to keep the money, wouldn't they? Or Arizona?
You mean get rid of the money?
No, keep it. So
Why?
they stay at their cap level.
How close to the floor are they right now? Aren't they? I thought they were close to the roof.
Yeah, the roof. So don't they
They're
kinda
fine.
just want to sit there?
No, well, once you're under the cap but above the floor, you're good.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
they don't need to be up there.
You can trade him.
Yeah, exactly.
No, the reason you trade him if you're Arizona is because you stink. And that's what teams who stink do.
Yeah.
Is you trade your players on expiring deals.
Yeah, and they take the prospect, and then the money comes off the books either way.
You know what would be
Doan's
hilarious?
not just on an expiring deal. He's on an expiring career.
You know what I think is going to happen? This is an outside shot.
Okay.
But Boston has been in on Gabriel Landeskog. I feel like if they lose out on Landeskog, which by the way, we need to replace Louis Eriksson. That's the problem with the Bruins. Louis Eriksson's gone. I think Shane Doan looks awfully good in a Boston Bruins jersey. And especially now, is he a long-term
What an
solution?
interesting thought.
No, but I think he's.
Oh, it doesn't matter if it's a good idea or not.
I think
we're just talking about can we believe?
I can believe Boston,
Boy, oh boy,
especially the way they've traded. You're
that
right.
is a neat thought.
Edmonton or Boston?
That is a neat thought.
Is Shane Doan fast enough to play with Connor McDavid?
My God, no.
Okay.
My God, no. He doesn't have to though. He's just got to be there. That's a pretty big, mean team heading into the playoffs, though. You got Patrick Maroon, who is Milan Lucic now. Playing the role of Milan Lucic, we have Patrick Maroon.
Yeah.
And Lucic is playing the role of Patrick Maroon. And then you get Doan in there. That's...
Tough team.
I don't know if it necessarily makes them better, but it makes them more unpleasant.
Before we leave here on the radio portion, Sportsnet put out an article on.
How are we talking about Edmonton buying?
I know, right? It's
How
crazy.
good is McDavid?
Well, and that's what I'm bringing up. Edmonton. If you go to Sportsnet.ca, they talk about where they expect every team to be come trade deadline. Leafs, of course, standing pat, but Edmonton is expected to be a buyer. Apparently,
That's hilarious.
If you're willing to pay the price. Apparently, and this shocked me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins can be had. Which I don't think makes sense. Because
How does that make you better?
I don't know. That's what I don't
center.
get. You've got McDavid.
That's such a premium.
You've got McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. You're set. And Nuge is on it's an expensive deal, but that's not his fault. He's probably worth it, even though he hasn't. Has he not been? He's underperformed a little bit this year. I don't know. Has he been fine?
I think they're trying to develop him into what Babcock has tried to develop Kadri into. Like a shutdown guy who can score. You send McDavid out there to cause havoc and score you some goals. You send Nuge out there to play against the other team's top lines. That's my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. If I'm the Coyotes, it looks awfully delicious as your first line.
That's not happening.
Why not? Not straight up.
You don't have anything to offer
If Edmonton wants to walk Ryan Nugent-Hopkins out the door, you're telling me the Coyotes wouldn't be interested in someone like that? He's on a long-term deal, so you can keep him.
Oh, no. Of course the Coyotes are.
And they have to. They have the prospects and the picks to make it happen.
That's like, again, Adam, I'm interested in a Bugatti. I'm very interested. I don't have anything to offer for the Bugatti. Unless I wake up in a new one.
I just think maybe Arizona might want to get themselves a top-line centerman.
Of course. But what does Edmonton get?
Well, they get Doan and whatever the heck they want from your system.
No.
You know what, though, man? This is the NHL.
So it's fun.
It's where silly happens.
Man, seriously. John, if it wasn't Chayka in charge in Arizona, it would be far more believable. Because Chiarelli and Tippett were like they're the old not Tippett. Who was the GM last year? Arizona.
Of who? I forget.
How do we not know this?
I know.
He traded John Scott. How do we not know this? It's not Tippett, is it?
Maloney.
If it was Don Maloney and Chiarelli, then I see it happening.
That's interesting.
Because they're shoot from the hip guys.
That's so interesting.
Anyway, let's go. It's the Steve Dangle podcast on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. It's what's on the inside that counts. We will talk to you in the download section at sportsnet.ca.
Saw a tweet. Thought it was relevant to what we were discussing earlier. Garrett Hole, who is a contributor to Jets Nation, want veteran and noted Jets fan. Want veteran presence Want to save the season to as much as possible? Whisper, trade Hutch and Pav for Halak.
Who wrote that?
Garrett Hull from Jets Nation. It's an interesting thought, and that would definitely be fascinating for the Paul Maurice study, because there's a goalie who has not had it this season, but has had it in the past.
No.
It's an interesting thought.
And then you got to pay him next year too? I don't think so.
Just saying. It's an interesting thought.
Nah, they can do better than that.
Interesting.
You can do better, Winnipeg.
What about one of the Ottawa goalies?
I think Ottawa wants them, is the weird thing. I think they want to hold on to them. Because
Craig Anderson may not be back this year.
Craig Anderson's
we don't know either
season
way.
is such a wild card.
And if he does come
And I
back,
think
is he going to
Hammond
be...
got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah,
Is he hurt?
I think he is.
Or he's had to battle injuries, and Condon has been incredible.
Yeah.
I just think if Anderson comes back, there's no guaranteeing that he comes back and plays himself into the shape that he needs to be in, right? And that's just
And the last
physical
time he
facts.
came back from a leave, he got a shutout. So
How
Yeah.
old is Craig Anderson?
he's one of the older goalies.
I don't know exactly.
I'm going to go with at least mid-30s.
35.
Wow.
He's been around, man.
Yeah.
And it's funny, he's like a late bloomer.
A bit. Yeah, he didn't really get onto people's radar until there was a playoff series a few years ago where the Sharks were just so heavily favored over the Avalanche. And Anderson just stood on his brain and gave the Sharks all kinds of trouble.
Wasn't Anderson's large reason they had that season, that great season?
Well, him and Varlamov.
Oh,
Varlamov
the
was
season.
it.
Varlamov.
No. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
Varlamov
Varlamov.
playing Vezina quality.
Yeah. And as much as it's weird to say, I think Ryan O'Reilly leaving hurt them more than they thought it would.
Yeah, weirdly, you can't lose two $7 million centermen and expect to be good.
Stastny and Ryan
Stastny
O'Reilly.
too.
Yeah, that's
even,
right.
Even if the
Stastny.
other two guys are McKinnon and Duchesne.
How is Stastny quietly really great? How do you be that quiet?
Supposedly
and
he
be really
hasn't
great?
been that great. But again, it's another one of those things where you got to pay a premium for a center.
Right.
You know,
And St. Louis is that good, so maybe he doesn't look good there.
Dmitry Filipovich tweeted about. I haven't been paying attention to Joe Colborne or any of that Avalanche individually, really, because that team's just so bad. But Colborne was a big signing for them. He scored a hat trick in his first game of the season, and he has 1 point since. 1 assist since. He hasn't scored a goal in over 30 games, I think it was. The last time Joel Colborne was that cold, because he's had some cold stretches, but I think he had 19 goals last season.
19 goals, 25 assists.
Yeah, this guy's good for like at least 10, for crying out loud. The last time he was this cold is when he was leading the AHL in scoring with the Marlies, busted his wrist, and then he couldn't shoot the puck anymore.
And the Leafs kept playing him.
The Leafs and the Marlies kept playing him.
Marlies kept playing
him. They went to the Calder Cup final, I think.
Instead of just letting him heal.
Next year comes, and they go, we got damaged goods here. We might as well keep Colton Orr and Fraser McLaren. Let's trade this guy to the Flames, and then eventually his wrist recovers, and he becomes a decent little piece for them. Mm-hmm. I wonder. It's purely a guess, but I wonder if he's got a busted wrist again.
Maybe.
You know how hard that is? If you're at least a decent player, to not fluke into a goal in like 30 plus
Played
games.
32 games.
Come on, Cody McLeod just scored a goal. Like, it's possible, man.
I'm sure if you left anybody in there long enough, they'd get one eventually. Like, you know what I mean?
Not Colborne.
Yeah. 15 goals between the Caps and Pens last night.
That is the same amount of goals that David Clarkson had as a Leaf.
That's crazy.
That's
Wow.
nuts. Yeah, I still have not seen the highlights from that game, except for the dastardly things the Penguins did in overtime.
They're dastardly.
Oh,
They are Dick Dastardly.
Oh.
For sure.
big time. And Capitals fans were not happy, and I think they have every right. Every right.
I can't wait for them to play each other in the playoffs. I can't wait. I can't
I
wait.
tweeted this too. Let's say it's revealed that the NHL is rigging the season for the Penguins to play the Capitals in the playoffs. Who outside of the Metro Division is upset? Nobody.
Nobody's
not
upset.
a single person.
That's something I clear my and being a Leafs fan, I clear my schedule for a Caps Pens game.
Let me throw this out there. what's the best rivalry in the game right now?
Well, that's got to be one of them. California had some good wars. I don't know if there was any specific wars between, like, who's Chicago, St. Louis, but they don't.
That's a good one.
Do they hate each other? Like, do they beat them?
Not enough.
Yeah, like it's more of a dazzling skill array.
And Bacchus isn't there anymore, so it's changed.
Right.
Pittsburgh and Philly.
Pittsburgh and Philly's always good just because of the location.
Always good.
Always good. Man, I'd love to see them play in the playoffs too.
But, like, we're talking since 2005.
Yeah.
Penguins Caps delivers time after time after time. 8-7? Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
Read that stat again, Jesse, that you read before the show.
Oh.
He's gonna find it. It's really interesting.
Matt Murray is the first goalie to play a full game, give up 7 goals, and earn the win since Dominic Roussel in 1994.
That's amazing.
1994. How many people listening right now weren't born?
That's from Down Goes Brown.
Oh, DGB. He's such a great writer. I'm always jealous of him.
He's an incredible follower.
But he nails a certain era better than anyone else. And it's about like a 10, 15 year period from like the very late 80s through the 90s to the early 2000s. Like he's a historian of that era. Mm-hmm. You know, some historians like specialize in like World War I or II, something like that. He knows everything that happened in that little era. So of course he knows that. Of course.
I love that.
That's so funny.
I love that.
That Crosby thing against Ovechkin was absolutely a trip, and it was absolutely missed. And the goalie interference, I don't know, man.
I don't know what's goalie interference anymore.
How does Kadri get a goal negated twice for the little tiny brushes he had, and Crosby gets away with that goal?
I believe the name on the back of the jersey might have something to do with it.
Well, and I haven't even seen the Hornfisk thing. Right. Apparently he hit someone. I don't get it. Oh, there was another really good one the other day. I think it was Habs Rangers. Did you see the Kevin Hayes goal that didn't get waved back?
Yes.
Kevin Price essentially gets dragged out of the net by the leg.
I don't
understand.
That's something they're going to have to define, and I'm sure the NHL knows this. No, but
they just don't get it.
Or the refs don't get it.
I think they get it. They just don't agree. And everything is so case by case. It's so case by case. The book is so open to interpretation.
Well, what I don't understand too is that
fans vote.
This is no. But
you imagine?
But the problem for me is that a lot of the time these interference calls are arguably the defenseman of that team pushes that forward into the goalie, and it's goaltender interference, and that is crap. That's BS.
The game we saw in London between the Leafs and Sens, we actually saw someone get called
for that. It was Smith.
I think it was
the Senators who pushed
Zach Smith. He pushed Nikita Zaitsev into Curtis Bakapany. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think of the last time I saw a defenseman get called for an opposing forward get called for goalie interference for shoving the defenseman into the goalie. I don't understand.
Goalie interference.
Yeah. Like, what do you even call that? Was it even called goalie interference? It might have been called like an unsportsmanlike conduct.
Interference.
Roughing, interference.
Yeah.
Being a jackass.
It's
2 minutes for being a jackass.
Yeah. 2 minutes, you can't do that. I don't know. It's a great game, and then it ends like that. Now, Caps fans will never see it this way, but it's great that the game ended that way because you're mad, and it's great that you're mad.
Yeah.
And it's great that you were arguing with Penguins fans after the game. It's all great. It just makes it better. It just makes it better for when, there's a very good chance you play each other. The Metro, the first 2 rounds for the Metro is going to be fantastic no matter what. It's been such a clash of the Titans all season long, and they're just taking turns braining each other. Like just killing each other. The Penguins went on a hot run and then got demolished. The Blue Jackets come close to breaking a record wins in a row, and then get demolished 5-0 by the Caps. The Caps go on this little run, and they don't allow an even strength goal. They hadn't allowed an even strength goal since January 3rd, something like that. And then they allow 8 goals to the Penguins and lose. It's awesome.
Does it bother you that the matchup will probably not happen in the Eastern Conference Finals? It'll happen like in the second round.
A little bit.
With the way they've set up.
Well, you've got to have a matchup in every round that's fiery, right? Like my favorite round of the playoffs is the first round. Because it's literally
fun.
It's like
it's fun.
It's like somebody pulled 16 armies together and go, let's fight, everybody go.
Yeah, at random.
And it's so that part's fun. The second round's fun because you get divisional, right? You get these guys that have played each other all year long, and they are this bloody close to getting to that Eastern Conference final, and it's a claw your eyeballs out. Unfortunately, sometimes the Eastern Conference finals can be a bit of a letdown because of that.
It's almost like the playoffs fizzle a little bit.
Well,
and then at the end, you have 2 teams who have never seen each other.
Yeah, and that part's kind of annoying because I feel like
every now and then it works out really well.
Yeah, I don't know how it'll go this year, but I think I always find the first 2 rounds to be the most fun. The first round's just bananas, and then the second round is a little bit more strategic, and then the third round,
shouldn't it be the best 2 teams playing in the conference finals?
No.
You can make the argument that they do. Like the best team from the Metro is going to play the best team from the Atlantic.
No, you shouldn't just put the best 2 teams in and that's it. No, that doesn't work like that.
No, I don't mean just
cut off the first 2 rounds.
No playoffs. I mean, they should work their way to the one plays the 2 seed. That's the way it should line up, but it doesn't line up that way. It lines up where the one plays the 4 kind of. Then the finals.
And I guess the reason for that is because they don't want to. They don't want to make it a punishment for finishing first or second, right? Because if you're finishing first or second, you got to go up against the second place team. Then you're clobbering each other in the next round.
You're doing that in the second round.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't thought of this angle yet. The Habs have such a bad season last year. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. This season, they're still battling injuries, but they're okay. It looks like they're going to be okay. And they get Radulov. Shea Weber works out great. Carey Price looks like Carey Price again, even though he takes a little bit of a dip, but he goes back up. They're getting players back. They got some young players that are doing well, and they are top of the Atlantic by a huge margin, which means they're going to get one of the wild card teams, which means they got to play someone from the Metro in the first round.
Yeah, because nobody from the Atlantic's getting.
That's not fun. That's not fun. Like, has there been a worse year? Or has there been a worse year to win the Atlantic? Probably not.
No, probably not.
Yeah, your 8th seed.
You might be getting a team better than you in the first round, and you're a division winner.
A 6th seed.
That's crazy
For no reason.
What is it right now?
Right now, Pittsburgh. Toronto sits with 48 points, and they should be the 8th seed, but they'll end up with the 6th seed.
Right. No, but who does Montreal?
Montreal would play Philly. Montreal plays Philly.
That's a fun little series.
And would that mean then that...
Oh my God, you got Price versus Steve Mason?
Montreal plays New York, actually. Washington would get Philly.
Montreal, New York's good too.
Montreal, New York.
A Montreal, New York series would be kind of cool. I had a Rangers fan tweet me something really interesting today. They're like, wrong about the Rangers. The Rangers are not good. Antti Ranta and Henrik Lundqvist are good. How true do you think that is?
Maybe. That's possible. Well, the Rangers, remember they had that ridiculous shooting percentage at the beginning of the year? And then I guess it died off a little bit. But, you know what? Lundqvist hasn't been great. What are you talking about?
No, he's been mediocre.
He's been mediocre, like hardcore mediocre.
Better of late.
And
the only reason he's playing really is Ranta got injured because he was playing great.
Oh, I don't remember who it was on TV the other day, but Lundqvist, for as adored as he is, like as a goalie and as a figure, he is annoying, isn't he?
Well, I was watching, I think it was the Leafs-Rangers game, and they talked about the death stares he gives his defensemen every time a goal goes in, as if every time it's their fault.
Well, and when he's pulled at the end of the game, he's just this thundercloud.
Like angry
hanging
and sad.
over the bench. Yeah, he looks genuinely shattered. Which, okay, he really cares and he wants to win. I get it, man, but can you tuck it in your pocket for the next 2 to 3 minutes, please? Just hide it. You're a 35-year-old man.
And he hasn't been good of late because in his last 7 games, he's only had 1 game where his save percentage was above 900.
Wow.
What?
So, yeah.
Wow, dude.
And Ranta just got hurt.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. They have 57 points, so they've got a bit of a cushion. But if you look at, they've played 44 games, so they're kind of right in the sweet spot of, they're not in the low end or the high end of games played. However, just outside of the wild card, we've got Carolina with 49 points. Philadelphia, by the way, has 50. They're in the second wild card spot.
Everyone's sleeping on Carolina.
Yeah, man.
Everyone is sleeping on Carolina.
Resurgence. Ottawa, 41 games played. So they've got 3 games in hand on the Rangers and Philly. They have 48 points. Now, I'm not saying that would catch them up. Tampa, if they can ever get healthy again, is Victor Hedman actually out? I know he left.
I've lost track, dude.
Like, it's how do you even? I don't think this is Tampa's year. Also, if Tampa doesn't fix their offensive zone entry, it doesn't matter who you put. Steven Stamkos on that team.
Who's seen 1 game?
2 in person.
Oh shoot! Wow, you've seen as many Tampa Bay Lightning games in person as I've seen Leafs games
this season.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty incredible.
I saw 1 Leaf game, 2 Tampa games.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's in person. I watch the games, obviously.
Watch the games.
But even New Jersey's, they're not far. I mean, 45 points.
Which is insane.
Corey Schneider, man. Freaking Corey Schneider.
They're literally just tying him to the goalpost like Millhouse and somehow still in the conversation. Taylor Hall got hurt for a month.
Goldberg, when he wouldn't stand in front of the puck in D1.
Hey, Goldberg, I bet if the puck was a cheeseburger, you'd stop it. That's what they're doing to Corey Schneider.
Jesse, do you have something that you wanted to add? It looked like you were going to say something. You readjusted your microphone. Nothing? I thought he was going to add something.
That's a goal.
I thought he had a stat. Shall we do the press conference?
The presser.
I do a good Steve sound. Yes.
The Steve Dangle
Eric
press
Berger
conference.
wants to know if you were going to the All-Star game.
That is in LA. A few people have asked me that, and I have not been asked.
Because it's usually one or the other, right?
What do you mean?
It's usually
What are you laughing at over there? What?
Jesse asked, Steve, are you going to the All-Star game in LA? Or are you going to the All-Star game? And then you're like, it is in LA.
Oh, I didn't even hear that part.
Are you going to the All-Star game?
No.
Jesse didn't say it was in LA.
This goes,
No. It's so funny because it was like, Jesse's like, are you going to the game? You're like, it is in LA.
Oh, because I was trying to think. Well, yeah, he's asking if I'm going, and I'm like, oh, to LA? Shut up. There, I'm done with my coffee. It gets thrown at you.
Because you're usually at one or the other. The last 2 seasons has been, hey, you're either at the All-Star game or you're at the Winter Classic, correct?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
I've had a neat little couple years, by the way.
So
Working at Sportsnet has been fun.
This year, I guess you're at the Centennial, so you're not at the All-Star.
I don't think my bosses look at it that way. But I mean, holy shit, it's Sportsnet. There are other reporters. I'll just straight up say better reporters to send. Mm-hmm. I don't know who is going. And also, part of the reason I got to go to the Winter Classic in Boston is I think someone else couldn't go. So, yeah, as far as I know, unless someone asked me at the last second, I'm not going. Oh. Chicago is still up in the air for the draft. I don't think I'm going to that either. But again, I'll say it every time it comes up. If you have a chance to go to the draft, go.
Why don't we just drive there?
It's so fun. Yeah, I mean, people will drive to London from Chicago.
Why don't we go? I'd love to go to the draft.
I think I have a wedding, though. Again.
You missed out on Matthews getting drafted. Didn't you?
No.
You were there for that.
I drove there and drove back the night before a wedding.
Right. Okay.
I would never miss that. How dare you?
Jesse, next question.
Riley is almost on pace for the same amount of points as last season. Will he come short of 36 points? Match, or will he surpass it, and by how much?
You know what I was thinking about actually on the way here was, so Riley has struggled a little bit defensively, right?
Uh-huh.
Struggled a little bit defensively. But he's on about the same pace offensively. Mm-hmm. That's incredible for a variety of reasons. One, he's got a rookie defense partner who is a little bit older than him and has probably played more pro games than him. But he's a rookie on North American ice.
Yep, which is a lot smaller.
2, that rookie is playing on the side that Riley played on last year.
Oh, that's true.
Riley played on the right. Now he's on the left again. And I don't know how much experience he has on the left. I don't remember if the right was a 1-year thing or whatever. So the fact that Riley has gone through this huge adjustment, maybe bigger than anyone else on the team, and he's still doing this well, at least offensively, that should be commended.
Can I point this out too?
Sure.
He's also 22.
Yeah, I was about to say that too.
That's the thing that gets me is that, so he struggled against top offenses, which, I mean, I get. You're 22 years old, and the fact that you are still producing at the points total that you are, is he getting the same power play time? That would be my question.
Well, that was the thing. He was not getting power play time.
Right. So,
which is nuts.
And that's what I thought. I didn't want to come out and say it.
At even strength.
Exactly. That's the key. Because last year he was quarterbacking the power play a lot more. Now it's mostly.
I'm not sure.
Wasn't he?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, anyway,
maybe I'm wrong.
I feel like Riley is he'll adjust, and Zaitsev will adjust. I think the strongest pairing on the team right now, and a lot of people would disagree, is Connor Carrick and Jake Gardner. I think those guys in their roles, they're perfect for their roles. They're great for their roles.
Every pairing has work. They got work to do. And they all have their strength. Connor Carrick, I still say, maybe more than anyone else on the team, has more to give. He's got more to give. Someone, I don't remember who it was on a broadcast, was talking about, because he tried to jump up in the play, and they're like, who does Connor Carrick think he is? I'm like, man, Connor Carrick has huge offensive potential. He just hasn't reached it yet. Mm-hmm. So it's another one of those things. Oh, should they trade JVR for a defender? No, they should trade no one for just wait.
Yeah. All right, next question.
If Panago had a special for the podcast and podcast listeners, what would it be?
Panago, like a pizza?
If they had a special pizza.
Okay, so
that's a good question.
Adam, there would be 3 specials, right? Like one for each of us. So Adam's pizza would be terrible. It would just be all peppers. Like the crust would be made of peppers.
What?
Yeah, it would just be gross.
Why?
Right, because you're a smelly butt.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's fair.
And I just felt like being mean to you for no reason.
All right.
Mine would just be nothing but meat, because I'm a meathead, and also meat is delicious. Mm-hmm. But that's not a special, though. Mm-mm. Like, a special is like, what's the deal?
Like, this is, hey, we're selling this new Steve Dangle podcast pizza.
No matter what you order, it costs $19.67.
That's kind of expensive.
I like that.
No, but it's like you get like a pizza and like
cinnamon sticks,
other stuff. Mm. Yeah, drinks.
Free t-shirt.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Free SDP t-shirt.
As long as you're throwing things in there, it's not just 1967.
Buddy, I'm all about free stuff.
Okay.
That's
we'll give you a
free.
tour of the kitchen. That was fun, actually, making pizzas at Panago. That was
fun.
When we did that. Grey Cup tickets.
And you get to park. You get a free hot dog when you go to the Grey Cup. So you're buying food, but you're also getting free food.
Yeah.
We should talk to Panago about that.
About what? Steve Dangle pizza?
Yeah, we should have a special.
If the Leafs make the playoffs this year, I think we should.
We should have a promo code you put on the website at least.
And no, but there should be a pizza that embodies the 3 of us on one pizza.
SD playoffs.
The SD pizza. SD playoffs pizza. The SD double P.
Deep dish SD pizza.
Deep dish.
Is it good enough
Panago.
if they just spell out SDP with pepperonis?
Whoa!
Like you put in some code on the website, and then your pizza comes, and it just says SDP with pepperonis.
Genius.
There it is.
Like, that's pretty simple.
Genius.
There it is.
Yay.
We found it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very good.
And we should get a 1967 like meal together. $19.67.
Yeah.
The Steve Dangle podcast 1967 special.
Throwing some cheese.
This has legs. This has legs, my friend.
All right.
Who sent that in?
You know what'll happen? This is
doesn't matter. They get no royalties.
Big hit all leaves.
This is a brilliant idea, and we'll probably forget all about it.
100%.
Like when the playoffs come, we'll be like, "Oh yeah, where are we gonna?"
What's great is I'm actually hanging out downtown with these guys today, and I'm going to forget before we get to the other studio down the hall.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening to the show today. We will be back Thursday, despite what Steve tries to tell you. We're doing this again Thursday.
But what if I don't want to?
Well, Jesse and I will show up, and the show that is under your name will be hosted by 2 people that are not you.
It's going to be like when Donnell Rollins and Charlie Murphy hosted the Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah. What was that about?
I watched it the other day. Season 3 of the Chappelle show. It's a very weird...
Is the season weird? It's weird, right?
It's definitely weird because they filmed a bunch of sketches. Most of them were clearly like not done. There was like one done one. I think it was the Cribs one.
Yes.
And the rest were...
There are 2 seasons to the Chappelle Show. There are 2 seasons.
First and second?
No, the third... No, there is a third one.
Two worth watching.
I see what you're saying.
There's 2 seasons.
That's like how people say there's 2 Scarfaces. Or not two Godfathers.
Yeah.
I just mixed up Scarface and The Godfather. I am fired from being Italian.
Oh my God. Every cheap t-shirt shop is going to be so mad at you.
Every single person we went to elementary and high school with.
Oh my God, you've got a Scarface and Che Guevara flag? That's so cool.
Every Sicilian guy we went to high school.
Wow, that's so cool.
Hey man, you Italian? Yeah, Sicilian. That's Italian! Sorry. Should we just end the show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.